What an interesting looking town. It's especially interesting because I can't read any of the signs. I don't even know what this town is called. I am curious, what are the people like? I'm going to base my opinions on this entire town based on my first interaction with a local. That sounds like a good idea, right? Well, on a completely unrelated note, let's talk about anchoring. When I'm referring to anchoring, I'm referring to the cognitive bias we develop based on our first interactions with an idea. I've been somewhat intrigued by this topic as of late. I don't know if it's just because I've learned the proper name for this effect, or it's because I've started recognizing it more because I have recognized the name. You know, it's sort of like when you learn a new word and you start seeing people use it all over the place. Whatever the case, I think it's important to recognize our biases and how they affect our judgment, because if we don't, we might make an ill-informed decision. You may be wondering, how? And to that I say, so imagine you're going shopping and you see a brand new fancy tech gadget, let's call it the Infinite Dirt Cube, and it's listed for $499. You think it's a little expensive, but you find it a little interesting. So you search it up and you see somebody selling an Infinite Dirt Cube for $70. When you look at the $70 one, you're probably thinking, okay, this one must be a scam because it's so cheap. But that's the trap. You've officially anchored to the original price and you see the lower one as either a scam or a steal. Maybe the $70 is the original price and they were upselling you. Or maybe $78 is also an extorted price and the real price of the Infinite Dirt Cube was $20. See, online marketplaces will do this a lot, and they do it so subtly you may not realize it. Have you ever searched up an outfit or an item and the first listing is a price that's definitely extremely expensive? Well, what these marketplaces aim to do is to get you to anchor to that price and base all of your opinions on similar items to the first one you see. Obviously, the first result must be the best. It's the most expensive one. So when you see a cheap version of it for $10, you're going to assume it's of worse quality, it's a scam, it's not official. See, it's a mental shortcut our brain takes to help us process information similar to what we've seen before, and while it can be useful in identifying similar traits, it very easily can be used against you. There are quite a few studies on this, and they show how much we can latch on to seemingly insignificant information. For example, there was this study done where there was a bunch of judges that were told a random number rolled from some dice, right? 1 through 6. Then they gave a bunch of people sentences for their crimes and whatnot. And get this, even though the numbers had nothing to do with each other, the judges who rolled higher anchored towards higher sentences, as their brains had attached to those higher numbers. Because we humans cannot beat the subconscious bias allegations. It's super fascinating how many things we'll do based on subconscious information, huh? It almost makes you question free will a little. Doesn't it? Well, I'm here to tell you it definitely shouldn't be getting that morbid yet. Simply, we're human, and when I say that our brains are constantly thinking a whole bunch, they are constantly thinking a whole bunch. Like, seriously. But when we think, we need something to compare the information to. It's why Family Guy cutaway gags are funny. When this happens, though, we tend to anchor our comparisons. The biggest way to do anything about this cognitive bias is to really think about the decisions we're making. Yes, a lot of choices we make are influenced by algorithms that are studying our every movement, and some of the decisions we make we don't care enough to put that much thought into. But nonetheless, we can still use logic. When we're making a decision, especially important ones, lay everything out and consider all of the possibilities. Even consider the exact opposite of the information you've been told and what that tells you. Just in case. Not saying that you should not believe what you read, because there are cases where that's true. It's just, when we're making decisions, it's important to recognize those biases. And honestly, I don't think we'll ever truly beat the anchoring bias, but being able to recognize it even a little bit can probably help with some of our decisions and judgment. There's probably something to be said about what anchoring does with our relationships with other people, but I don't think it's 100% bad all of the time. Sometimes a bad experience can form a valid red flag, even if it happened only once. Now, there are a lot of different variables to whatever the heavens is going on all of the time, so we might not be able to pin it down all the way, and we might make judgments based on characteristics that don't necessarily define an entire group of people. But, once again, recognizing our biases and weighing our decisions a little more will probably help us in the long run. It's crazy, but it's kinda super interesting. At least to me. I don't know. I bet you could probably do a cool magic trick with cognitive biases, don't you think? Anyway, okay, I don't know where everyone is, and I'm kinda getting freaked out by this ghost town. Huh. Hold on. Wait a minute. Oh my goodness. I was wearing my make people invisible contact lenses. Whoopsies. My bad, everybody. See you all next week.